Hello everybody and welcome back to For Real. I hope you've had a great week wherever you're watching from. Thank you so much for liking our videos and subscribing to our channel. Also, hitting the bell icon to get notifications when we upload is a great thing to do. If you wouldn't mind, that would be awesome. Doing these things helps us to get more views, and more views means that YouTube pays us more money. All the money we make is donated to charities here in Cambodia. And in the description of this and every video, you can see how much we've given and who we've given it to. You're also welcome to join us over on Instagram for other bits and pieces between videos. But you're here for the news, so let's get started. Today is Wednesday, the 20th of October, 2021. There has been heaps of huge news about the reopening of borders and visa requirements this week. As always with these new announcements, the fine print is a little bit blurry, but hopefully it will become clearer very soon. Before we get to that, let's take a look at the COVID numbers. The Kingdom has recorded its 19th consecutive day of dramatically lower case numbers, and the official case total today was 175. That makes the national total 117,035 cases. This drastic downwards trend in reported cases is linked to a new policy of reduced rapid testing for COVID-19. This is the first step in moving away from the pandemic towards the endemic stage of COVID-19. So case numbers are becoming less important because vaccination numbers are higher. The cases that are discovered are generally only those where the patient becomes ill enough to require hospitalisation. The speed of vaccination in Cambodia has been the envy of many countries in the region and around the world. Unofficial reports have emerged stating that 9,953,622 have received at least the first dose, which equals 99.54%. That leaves approximately 47,000 people who have yet to be vaccinated in this adult group. With great effort comes great rewards. So let's get to the news that everyone has been waiting for. Tourist visas are back. The government yesterday announced that e-visas would once again be available for those coming to Cambodia. Now, these are lowercase e-visas, meaning the tourist visa that is purchased online prior to arriving in Cambodia. At this stage, it is not possible to get a tourist visa on arrival, and this lowercase e-visa is different to the E-type visa. The E-type visa is what you will need if you intend to stay long-term in the kingdom. E-type visas are the ones that can be extended. For example, ER is the retirement extension of an E-visa, and EB is a business extension of an E-visa. The fee for the lowercase e visa is $30 USD plus a $6 processing fee. It's valid for 3 months from the date of issue. This means you must enter Cambodia within 3 months of the visa being issued. You can stay in Cambodia for 30 days with this visa. The application processing time is just 3 days, so it's very quick. All this talk about visas brings the burning question, what about quarantine? What's up with that? The Ministry of Health outlined the new quarantine and entry conditions for inbound travellers to Cambodia, which were implemented from the 18th of October onwards. The main change to the current system is a reduced quarantine period for many inbound travellers. This is fantastic news, but what does it actually mean? Well, it's early days and things are developing on a daily basis right now. The quarantine requirements vary depending on the traveller's purpose for visiting and vaccination status. The quarantine periods are either 3 days, 7 days, or 14 days. You'll have to do 3 days quarantine if you are an investor, a Khmer or foreign expert, a diplomat, an officer for an official cooperation project, or a civil servant of the government returning from an overseas mission. It is well known that COVID affects investors, diplomats, and civil servants at a much lower rate than the rest of the population. Everybody else, us mere mortals, will fall into the category of general travellers, and for the purposes of quarantine, there is no distinction between Khmers and foreign nationals. General travellers who are vaccinated must complete a 7-day quarantine, and general travellers who are not fully vaccinated must complete a 14-day quarantine. There hasn't been any further information about whether this is to be a strict hotel-based quarantine or a test and roam approach similar to the one Prime Minister Hun Sen advocated for recently. Cambodia will recognise all vaccinations administered to inbound travellers, irrespective of whether it has been approved by the World Health Organization or not. I think Australia could learn something from Cambodia in this instance. There's no information at this stage about unvaccinated children who are accompanying vaccinated adults. There's also no list of cities where quarantine can be done, neither is there a list of hotels that you can stay in to complete your quarantine. The only list that we were able to find is the old one that existed when everyone had to pay the $2,000 deposit on arrival. It does look like the dreaded deposit is still in place, but as per the latest announcement by the Health Ministry, fully vaccinated travellers only need to quarantine for 7 days and must pay a $1,000 deposit for the expenses incurred during their stay in the designated hotels. As with any new procedure, there will be updates and changes as they work things out. With the new quarantine periods, you can see they're making a pathway to zero quarantine for fully vaccinated people. So if you're keen on not doing any quarantine, I guess you might just have to wait a little bit longer. It was announced recently that a QR code system is being implemented based on the Stop COVID QR vaccine. It is going to be connected to the vaccine database and will be rolled out for nationwide use. The ministry added that the QR code system Stop COVID QR vaccine has 3 main functions. Number 1, facilitate the search for people in contact with COVID-19. Number 2, control the enforcement of quarantine. And number 3, identify those who have been inoculated against COVID-19. The system can display vaccination information, photos and identities of individuals when they scan the QR codes at entrances to ministries, institutions, hotels, guest houses, restaurants, entertainment venues, condominiums, companies, factories and enterprises. So pretty much anywhere, I guess. We've been to several places around Phnom Penh and it seems that the system may need a little more explanation as we were only asked for our vaccination cards once. Here's a bit of an outline of how this QR code system is going to work. If the display on your phone screen is red, it means that the patron is at high risk of COVID-19. If it's yellow, they've been in direct or indirect contact with a COVID-19 patient who has not yet completed their 14-day quarantine. If the display on the phone is green, it means that they have not been in contact with COVID-19 and will be allowed entry. If it is blue, it means they are fully vaccinated against COVID and have no record of contact with COVID-19 either. With the reopening of travel, the Phnom Penh Municipal Administration has decided to continue its administrative measures for 2 more weeks, but with easing of some of the restrictions until the 28th of October. So what's changed? Well, the number of people allowed in a gathering has increased from 15 to 50. Apart from that, we can't find anything in writing, but it seems you can drink alcohol at restaurants and buy alcohol from supermarkets, but these rules are still in place. High-risk occupational and business activities such as cinemas, KTVs, nightclubs, beer gardens, and all kinds of entertainment businesses are still closed. And masks are required when outside or entering any building. We actually saw a truck driving around with officials using loudspeakers to yell at people to put their masks on properly. It was extremely interesting to see. Now we have some updates of previous stories. The dramatic crash of a luxury car bearing the now infamous personalised registration plate Mr. Idol took a further twist today when it emerged that the brother of ex-Oknar, Dong Che, has admitted to being behind the wheel at the time of the incident. This man's Oknar title was revoked earlier this year when video footage emerged of him beating his ex-wife and dragging her around their apartment by her hair. You might remember that because it was highly publicised. In that case, the Oknar made several videos explaining how his violence was in fact his ex-wife's fault. And the last that was heard of him back then was when he shaved his head and claimed that he was entering a monastery. So the driver was Dong Che's brother. At least that's what was reported. Believe it or not, it's up to you. Now an update on the China project. After months of investigations, including undercover operations, an elite team of police officers swooped in and arrested 4 men who were reportedly involved with serious crimes in China and had fled to hide in Cambodia. 3 of the 4 arrested were said to be involved with murder, 2 directly and 1 as an accomplice. The 4th was trialled and arrested for serious crimes committed in China. A special task force had been formed by the Cambodian police and assisted by the Ministry of Public Security of the People's Republic of China officials based in Phnom Penh to crack down on illegal online gambling, extortion, kidnap for ransom and extortion, drugs and other criminal activities operating under the guise of online gambling. Moving around Cambodia can also be a gamble. At least 2,013 major cases of traffic accidents have occurred from January this month to date, killing 1,119 people. In the same time period, there were minor accidents involving 172,829 vehicles, including 42,778 trucks and cars, and 130,051 motorbikes. Most of the accidents occurred because the drivers did not obey the traffic law, especially overspeeding, being drunk, or being sleepy. The Public Works Ministry announced that more than 570,000 overweight trucks were fined in the first 9 months of this year. I guess it was the drivers or the company that owns the trucks that were fined, as the trucks themselves would not be able to pay. According to the Ministry's report, from January to September this year, Ministry officials checked a total of 1,830,631 trucks, and among them 578,103 trucks were overweight and the drivers fined. That is a lot of coffee money. From overweight trucks to overweight prawns now. A team from the Consumer Protection, Competition and Fraud Repression Directorate General discovered seafood apparently injected with jelly at a Phnom Penh market in a SNAP inspection. The team discovered that freshwater shrimp and lobster had been injected with jelly in order to increase the apparent weight of the produce and to fool customers at the seafood market in Phnom Penh. After inspection, the team issued punishment notices and instructed business owners to stop violating the law. Just stop it. In Siem Reap now, a 48-year-old Cambodian man was arrested. Police say the suspect, who rides a 3-wheeled motorbike, used aggravated violence to stab a Chinese man with a knife, injuring the Chinese national seriously in Sihanoukville and then fleeing to Siem Reap. Okay, that 3-wheeled story was the last one for today, and so you are now up to date with all of the news in Cambodia for this week. Like I said earlier, the things with the visas and the border opening and the quarantine, all of that stuff is changing so quickly at the moment. The rules are being made up as they go along, as is happening in lots of other countries. So we'll keep you posted each week, but things are moving in a very, very positive direction for everybody here in the kingdom. It's wonderful news. I hope it's made you very happy, because it means that you are able to return here as well. I'd like to take a moment to thank you for watching. We really appreciate each and every person who watches the News Moto every week. Don't forget that we also upload a different video on weekends, so you can check in and watch that as well. Don't forget to check out the links to all of the other channels that are making content in Cambodia and other people that we follow in general, in case there's something there that you might find interesting as well. Don't forget to stay safe, take care, and we'll see you in the next video. Bye!